And Abhish, एक मैसेज डाल देना ग्रुप पे. It has started.
Yeah. A very good evening, everyone. I'm thrilled to welcome you all to Crack the Case LaunchPad, our inaugural panel discussion on cracking careers in consulting, product, business strategy, and growth.
I'm
I am
Kamal Soni,
Pranjal Soni. Okay.
I'm head of consulting at Consulting and Analytics Club.
And I'm Pranjal Soni. I'm the head of product and business strategy here at Consulting and Analytics Club, IIT Guwahati.
So, Crack the Case is our flagship initiative aimed to empower students exploring non-tech career paths by offering comprehensive preparation resources such as guides, casebooks, and mock test series with interview sessions to help them navigate internships and placements with confidence.
Today's session is especially close to our hearts, not only because it brings invaluable insights into high impact non tech careers, but also because it is graced by some of the most accomplished alumni of IIT Guwahati, leaders who once sat where we are and went on to pave inspiring paths across the industry.
They have been the torch bearers, founders of Consulting and Analytics Club, and today they return not just as professionals, but as mentors. First up, we have Tushar Garg, the project leader at VCG, IITG batch of 2016, the founding member of CNA, and a brief stint at EXL and completing his MBA from IIM Bangalore in 2020. He has spent his last 6 years driving strategic change at BCG.
Yeah.
Hi
Next
guys.
up, Next up, we have Sourabh Choraria, Associate Director at Meesho. He is also an IITG class graduate of class of 2016 and was the former analytics head in the founding batch of Consulting and Analytics Club. From launching his own startup, Paisesta, to working at Flipkart and Ola and completing his MBA from IIM Bangalore in 2020. He has now taken on leadership role at Meesho. His journey spans analytics, products, and business strategy across some of the top India's firms.
Next up, we have Ritvik Pandey Bhaiya. He is the growth manager at Groww. He's from ITG back 2022 and former consulting projects head at CNA. He began his career as a management consult at Diplomacy Consulting, helping businesses scale through structured strategy. Today, he drives growth, user acquisition, and engagement at one of the India's most dynamic fintech platforms, Groww.
Next up, we have Advaith Krishna A. Bhaiya, Senior Product Analyst at Media.net, IITG batch of 2024, and the former head of consulting at CNA. He has previously worked as the founder associate at a health tech startup driving core product and strategy functions. He has also co-founded High on Product, a growing product focused initiative for aspiring product managers. Currently, he is resolving real-world problems in the edtech space at Media.net. So, happy to have you all with us today, Bhaiya. We are super excited to host you all. So, to get things started, we are here to decode what it takes to crack careers in non tech domains like consulting, product, and growth. So, here's a first common question to all of you. So, most of us are in engineering colleges, grow up surrounded by peers who prepare for tech heavy roles like TSA, machine learning, software placements, and often feel like a default path. But non tech careers follow a very different trajectory. So, to kick things off, what makes someone a good fit for roles in consulting, product, or growth? What are some traits, mindsets, or interests students should reflect on before deciding to explore these paths?
Yes, Bhaiya. Anyone would like to answer?
Like any one of you can volunteer and start.
Yeah.
Okay. Tushar bhaiya, you go ahead, please. So, if I understand the question correctly, you feel in general what are the kind of traits that makes one suitable for roles such as consulting, product management, etc. I believe, of course, the answer is different for different roles and industries. And being very honest, there is no as such trait, or no one is sort of equipped with that as they enter into colleges, right? It is something that is developed, but in general, I would say bare minimum basic necessities that one needs is, and you would have heard this buzzword a lot, is a problem solving ability. And wanted to break this down so that it doesn't remain a myth for new beginners who are preparing. Problem solving ability essentially means if there is any statement, any problem, or any idea, do you have the ability to not get overwhelmed with it but break it down into pieces step by step? How do you by order tackle question one, move to question two with the hypothesis along the way? So things like that. And this ability of course is developed on the course when you keep doing that more often, but that is a single most important trait that you guys should aim at developing.
I'll actually add on to what Tushar just said on structured thinking and problem solving. Yet, first principle thinking is, I believe, is an important part of it essentially. And yeah, see, they're getting us, like the companies are betting on kids like us, right? That they will come and solve the problems, right? Over experienced guys who are already there in the company. The reason behind that is they want to innovate, and innovation comes from first principle thinking, like whatever is already done, right? Replicating that is easier, but innovating something new comes from first principle thinking. I think that is something, that's a muscle we actually develop in IIT when we are, or rather in the colleges when we are discussing with our peers, right? So yeah, that's, I believe, is an equally important thing. Yeah.
Adding on to what both my seniors have already mentioned, one more very important step is how well do you understand why you are solving a problem. So it is essential to understand why am I solving this particular problem statement, because a lot of times what you'll face is you'll get a multitude of things on your plate. You must be able to understand why I'm solving each of these things and how these things are correlating. So asking the right questions in addition to approaching a problem is also one of the most important things, and if you do that in your daily life, then I think that's a good trait to have.
And I think finally to add on to it, maybe I'll just take it towards product side of things. I think in product it does become important to understand who you're solving it for. So it's like you are a captain of ship, and your customers, your users are the passengers in the ship. So that's how it would go to product side. And maybe in addition to what I've seen, like I think working with a lot of people, working collaboratively with a lot of cross-functional teams, I think that would become as an end result of what you're aiming for. And yeah, I think we've already covered like most of this, but I think I've recently seen, I think in the last 2 or 3 years, I think you might also agree to this, yeah. So I've seen that people are mostly working towards data, so getting the right data and using them to drive decisions. I think that has that has mostly been an important function of all these product and consulting roles.
Yeah, right, very rightly said, sir. Adding on to this, like they around the college, we see that most of the students or peer groups among us, they all aim for a tech-heavy jobs, right? Like everybody follows a common path that if their intern season comes, they start preparing for DSA, start preparing for ML rules, and in that bigger part, like being a minority and selecting on that, I have to take product. So first, like, how can our audience be sure that they should take, like, if they do feel that these traits are in them, or what is different that they shouldn't take that path, which is a default taken by most of my college peers, or I should go and take this? Like, any one of you there?
Yeah, I can answer this by. Am I audible? There's some kind of
Yeah, you are.
Yes, yes,
great.
yes.
Uh, I can answer this by just taking my example. Yeah, like how was I thinking, say in third or fourth year of my college, like whether to pursue tech, whether to like what do you really pursue, right? There's definitely core angle of it, like
Mm,
what the branch you are in, right? So what to pursue?
mm,
See, for me, it was like I was fortunate enough to get an internship in my third year and get an experience around how would the business world or the corporate world, the non-tech side would look like. Uh, from that angle, I can say, like, if you really love problem solving, which are like which are very close to users. See, problem solving also happens in your tech roles, right? And I might be like immature to essentially comment on the level of problem solving in tech, or rather the. But however, what I would say, like, if you really like problem solving, I think this is definitely one of the path you can definitely choose, right? So if you really like coding plus this, then definitely tech is also a path. But to choose this, that's the ultimate thing, right? You have to have passion for actually solving user problems. I think like all four of us, whatever said in the first question, right? If you have a mixture of this, if you really like if you really like uh, doing that, I think that
solving
would really
business.
set you. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Bea. Anyone else, Bea, would you like to add?
Adding on to Saurabia's point, uh, one of the most important reasons why you would go for this is you have tried something similar in the past. So what Bhaiya was saying about loving to problem solve, if you like problem solving, by just that it is not enough, because you need to understand what kinds of problems and what kinds of things are going to be there. So dabble your hands in stuff, go for probably a case study competition is a good starter point. Read up on what
Mhm.
kinds of journeys different fields have. Getting away from the main road that everybody else is walking on is a little bit of a difficult and kind of a scary step also. But the good thing is, nowadays these roles are more and more available in number. Pretty sure सौरभ भैया के time पे तुषार भैया के time पे उतने they wouldn't have been there in this much of a quantity as they are now. So it's not exactly a beaten off the beaten track approach right now, but you need to know that you have the patience to make it big in this, because you're starting a lot of other factors also which you want from a job out of an IIT or any other college in particular. They are going to be different for a non-tech role. So understanding what you are getting into and making your peace with it and knowing you'll have to be very patient is something you must evaluate before you get into it.
Okay. Yeah. Like I got what you said, that if we are interested in solving business problem, user side, have a problem setting mindset, then we should go or choose on to this rules, right? Adding on, like some of, is there any parity between the amount that we get, like the pay, I mean the salary? Is there a vast difference between that because of which people choose preferring tech roles or anything like that? You feel so?
I mean, I've definitely seen people going for tech roles because they pay like slightly higher in the initial years, maybe. But I've also seen a lot of my friends choosing for product or consulting roles simply because they loved doing what they do. So I don't think salary becomes a factor there, but yeah, I mean, I think you will find opportunities in the coding space that would pay more, and opportunities in the product consulting space that will pay more as well. So that really becomes a question of how how uh, how many roles we have in on either side.
And
Okay.
actually, I would take a sorry, yeah,
Hmm.
I'll take a different
Yeah,
take
yeah,
on this.
sure.
Yeah, I think initially I do see a preference on tech roles due to compensation, and definitely it's higher for tech roles versus a business role. And the reason purely is because of demand and supply. If you think about it, tech roles essentially the companies would prefer your, let's say, uh, certain branches. I think it was for circuit branches, right? onto
Hmm.
them. And again, there are certain companies who would open for all. So it's primarily because of demand and supply in the initial part of the journey, right? However, as Advaith was saying, right, if you, or rather Ritvik was saying, if you really like it, then you should stay here. And in the long term, in the long run, essentially, if that misaligns, right, in the initial part, definitely, yeah, it's the maturity we need. Like there's lack of maturity when you are just early in the career, right? So what to take, what not to take, you just explore, and then if you are in a well place, if you are doing what you like, right? So essentially, if you really like tech for that matter, then I assume like you should start from the beginning and you can keep on going. But if you really like, if you not like tech and if you're there only for the money, it might be good for the first few years, but it would eventually begin to haunt you back because that is something that where your passion doesn't lie. So I think it's just a matter of time when people start realizing, and yeah, that's how it happens.
Okay, sure. Like, okay, now I guess most of our audience might have a fair bit idea that they want to choose or they should go with the non-tech career. Now, coming on to IITG scenes, like what we have is when a student is entering into the third year, end of the second year, they start preparing for their intern seasons, and the fourth year students upcoming prepare for their placement seasons. So, if we see there, like there would be a very less non-tech companies, like 20 to 15%. Like there is in interns, the play stats are more lower. So for that, first and very foremost thing that comes to get an intern or placement in tech is resume shortlisting. So what do you think are the key spikes? Like what really appeals the recruiters to take this person into the particular role? You can
Like you
go
have
it role
seen
wise as well.
both both the perspective you have seen as an interviewee and as an interviewer. So we essentially want you all to cover. So what spikes do you see in consulting? What spikes do you see in product? What spikes do you see in growth kind of stuff? So we can start with consulting maybe then. Like Tushar, you as what spikes?
Mm.
Sure. So this is a common question across, right? Um, Definitely, there are a few spikes that we seek in the candidates. And the spikes, the category of spike can be very different. So, for example, a common category is academic excellence. And, you know, more than a single point of excellence, we look for consistency. Of course, for graduates from undergrad, it's only your recent education, class 10th and 12th, and of course the undergrad. But as the candidate grows in the career, there are other matrices of mapping consistency and excellence, right? So that is one. Uh, Second, of course, if there is a very unique kind of spike in terms of somebody maybe playing at a state level, somebody uh, not only in sports but somebody doing something in a tech, which is a big achievement. All of those just again shows in some form excellence in one of the areas that they like. um, I think a few other kind of spikes could be leadership or responsibility spikes, like we see in a lot of resumes, people leading really high stake roles. Some of the roles that I could remember from ID Guwahati is something like a president of the student board, right? That's the highest stake role. Um, Again, the core element is excellence. If that person is a great leader, a communicator, is he doing it at the highest level, he or she doing it at the highest level? So the core element across these matrices you will see is excellence, and that's what we seek. Um, to be very very clear, none of these is a must or a qualifier kind of metrics. The only idea behind this is when we have 400 resumes on a plate, there has to be something that outshines you versus others, and that's where that excellence comes into place. um, there have been many candidates who have a mix of these two three, maybe not the highest of the position in the university, maybe not like 999. There have been candidates on that as well, but if you ask me, yes, would you like to chase something? I would say excellence in one particular area and actually have the ability to back that up in your interview. Uh, so that's for consulting.
One more thing, just to follow up. Like
Yeah.
you told excellence in one area. Like, is it good to have very high spike in one of the domain, or like if we have fairly a good amount of spike in each multiple domains? Like there are leadership roles as well. He has taken good experiences, good projects, as extracurriculars are decently good. Like there's
Yeah.
not exceptional or outrighting one thing, but a balanced resume.
Of course, the latter helps, and I would say a balanced resume showing skills across, uh, your uh, problem solving or acumen, which we can only judge through resume by looking at your scores or some kind of a job that you have done, and some recognition you have or some intern. But if you have a balanced resume across positions of responsibilities, across what kind of stuff you have done in the past, that helps in terms of recognizing this person as a overall all-rounder person. But I would still say having something which you can sort of highlight this as this is um, my highlight for the world. I think that helps a lot. If it is a mix of both, that's of course a clear cut, a win-win for both the firm as well as the candidate. So that's the answer.
Yeah.
Saurabh, if you can start next about what do you seek as a mentor
Sure.
role?
Yeah, I'll take from what Tushar was calling about. I think he covered majority of the areas of resume and the spikes around it. Yeah, see, in the non-tech roles, the people we hire, we generally look for generalists, right? They're not specialists, right? You are not special. You don't know how to code. You don't know any, like, you don't know major hard skills. Knowing Excel is not a hard skill, right? It's a necessity. So this is essentially you are hiring a generalist, right? Who can think, who have passion to do things, right? Who have passion to do get their hand dirty, etc. So whatever Tushar was saying, if you now just recap, right? It's all about like, okay, you have uh, zeal, you have passion to do something which stands out than rest of it. Even having an academic score, like a very good academic score, is something you are passionate about, right? You are sincere, you want to like learn whatever is being taught to you, and hence you have a good score, right? Similarly, let's say if you are in a position of responsibility and you are heading as a president for the student council body, it means that you want to do something in your life and you have that zeal, right? To do something. If you are doing great in some case study, it means that you have passion, you have the business sense to actually excel in that business. So those are the signals essentially which we actually want to look from the resume. And believe me, it's on candidates owners. I just would want to add that we get lots of resume, right? You would understand, like for an internship, you just spoke about Kahan. I think there are very, very limited companies who would come for a very huge number of folks, right? And
Yeah.
hence the number of resumes which will go to this uh, like firms will be numerous in numbers. And the shortlisters are people like us, right? And we would not have like all day to do that. So essentially putting that out very, very clearly, like what's your highlight, right, is absolutely important to tell that okay, this is something which you can distinguish me with rest of the 399 resumes which you have, that's ultra important. So I think, yeah, that would be right.
So, like one more thing, just onto this. Like, is this spike thing same for all the non-tech roles, like product consulting, or there is any differentiator that you guys see on?
Yeah, I think majorly it's similar. Yeah, matlab, spikes generally tells you something, and that's what everybody wants to understand, right? So yeah, in my mind, Ritvik and Advaith, you can speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think a lot of the people listening would not be very familiar with what is considered a spike actually. because I had that question earlier when I was preparing. So a spike will always set you apart. Ki, okay, this particular person achieved something in this domain. Now the domain can be across any kind of field. So it could be Gymkhana, as Tushar Bhaiya said. It could be some club which you headed and you launched a new initiative and you scaled it considerably. It could be a fest. So there could be a lot of things where you have done something which is a new thing, and it is recognizable that it is an achievement. We needed to set it apart. I'll just draw from my own experience of getting an intern last year. So I had over 100 resumes on my desk, and I had essentially just the single weekend. So I was going to put in around 2 hours because I was also on a leave during that time. So what I looked for, and this is what almost everybody is going to do, Tushar Bhaiya and Sourabh Bhaiya can probably back that up too. They are going to just browse through it, see do I understand at a glance if there is something interesting. If there is, I'll read it. Otherwise, people do not have that much time to go through every single resume word by word. The things that will stick out in your resume, first thing of course is spikes. The another is, even if you don't have a spike, the well balanced resume that Kahan was mentioning,
Yeah.
uh, it has to be very well structured. So if I read, if I go to the trouble of reading, let's say one point from your top experience, be it projects or be it some internship that you got, was I able to understand the first bullet clearly and very easily? So did you explain the problem? Did you explain the solution that you applied to it, and did you get any verifiable results? That is going to excite the reader, right? And if the reader gets excited reading your resume, he will continue reading through it. So try and structure it in a way that people want to go ahead and read more of it. Even if they, let's say, glance at any one point and decide to read any one, they should understand it, they should like it, and then they should be convinced of reading it. Structure it in such a way. Another thing, I think, fundamental part of your question was the quantity of opportunities that come in the internship phase especially. uh, yeah, I think it's a reality that for your internship most of non-tech folks will have to go off campus. I mean, I don't recall many people who got an on-campus internship in non-tech domain. By non-tech I do not mean data science, I mean business product roles, consulting roles. So you will have to venture off campus for opportunities. Yeah.
Cool. So, to add on to what Saurav and Ritik said, I think presenting your work is very important. So I recently started shadowing folks and start like taking interviews on my own. But like one thing I've been like constantly being advised by seniors, hey, if you're seeing two resumes that are very similar, and you want to pick one of them, and say, hey, recommend this one, then look for the differentiator. So most of the times I think it just becomes a lot of letters. I did this, I improved this at this company, and it just stops at that point. But something I think what we are asked to look for is, I did this. I mean, I solved this problem by of this impact, as in what is the impact in terms of dollar value. Let's see if you improved process speed or something. Anything of that sort. It can be the core metric associated with that problem. So adding that metric into the statement really helps, and adding something that other people understand. So let's say, uh, it's preferable for you people to avoid uh, jargon, because resume is to be understood by the I think HR at a lot of times. The preliminary screening is mostly always being done by the HR, so they're mostly not going to understand that. and they would want something that is being simply conveyed and very aligned to the role that you're applying for. I think that does make a difference to your resume. And thus,
Okay.
yeah,
Mm,
just one more thing. So as Ritvik Bhai had mentioned, on-campus opportunities are limited. I think the scenario did improve like a bit over the last 2 years, but it's better if you start early and you work towards it.
okay. Just adding on to this, like if we want to try it out to get an off-campus placements, like off-campus internships as well as placement, what uh what should be the step-by-step procedure that a candidate should follow so he can crack it? And even one more question that you told, resume is the recruiters don't like jargon words. So is it not good to use action words, or am I being misconfused by action and jargon words?
Okay, so action and jargon are different things. So let's say
Okay.
I'm working on a system called let's say XYZ. Okay, I'm
Mm,
gonna call it XYZ for now because I can't tell what the system is. So
yeah.
if I'm gonna mention I improved the system XYZ and improved its speed by X%, it doesn't make sense to the people who are reading the resume, right? So by jargon, I mean terms that are exclusive to the project that you worked on. People in the industry may not generally realize what that is.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Got that.
So yeah,
My
it's
second
like the
question, right?
off campus question because we as third year who are just stepping into third years or the fourth years, we actually don't know how easy or how do we actually approach getting an off campus role. So is there any standard format to it, or if you can help us with this?
I can give a generic statement. I think we can improve on that. So first, of course, have some projects. Maybe some PORs if you already have one by the say by second year. Then make your resume, get it reviewed, start networking, find roles, find people for reference, apply. I think that's the most generic way to put it. I think we can improve on that maybe.
Yeah, I think.
Anyway, enough.
Sorry. What is it? Okay.
Anyhow, yeah,
Yeah.
continue. Yeah.
So I'll
Mhm.
just give a view on how do I see resumes like off campus. The people do apply off campus. I think there are two major channel for them. One is LinkedIn and other is well, like mail it directly to me, right? However, one thing which really stands out and that garners attention to the mails or LinkedIn messages is essentially if you are clear on what to do, right? So I'll give you a stat out of 100 messages which I would be getting, maybe just 3 or 4 are actually just have substance. Like they really know what to do and they're really asking you, yeah, can I come to your company and solve this problem? Rest all of the messages are quite generic. Yeah, I'm looking for an internship. My summer internship is here. Can we do an internship with Meesho? Right? That's just and now the onus lies on me essentially to read this resume and find out the exact position for that particular person. So now think from that POV. See, the supply is not limited to me, right? I'm getting 100 resumes. Now, if you don't make my life easier, I'll not help try to help you and make your life easier, right? So that is something I think it's very important that you keep in mind that randomly cold mailing, cold messaging may help someone, but it will not help most of you guys, right? So that is the thing which you need to be ultra sure. So apply, maybe apply less, but apply genuinely, apply with full intent, right? Of solving, of essentially going into that company and doing something meaningful, right? So I think that is something I think we need to keep in mind.
Okay. Tushar, bhai, that's okay.
No, I think great insights already. I mean, applying
Yeah.
off campus wasn't a great thing, at least back in 2016-15. But
Is it
uh,
possible, Vaya, to apply
uh,
off campus in firms like MBB as well? Because when we see at their portals, they only allow some institutions, like directly tell that your placement cell has to approve this. So if we want to try to off-campus MBB firms, what should we do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I won't be able to comment for MNB. I can comment for BCG. Uh, I
Mhm.
think, see, there is a very structured set process in our firm and in most of the other consulting firms also. But there is a structured process across MBAs, postgraduates, and even undergrads. At IIT Guwahati also now we visit, right, and many other IITs and other undergrads maybe. But since there is a structured process of hiring, and we do calculate our numbers very wisely, and the demand is projected much in advance. So I think a short answer is yes. No, we wouldn't be accepting a lot of off-campus applications, simply because we are mostly done with our supply from the on-campus recruitment. The other thing is, especially in undergrad, um, there is also a very limited window of hiring laterally, what we call, right? Because of course we do hire laterally throughout the year, um, for people who have some experience in the industry or in other consultings, etc. But for undergrads who are just interning, who are looking for an intern, which is the relevant audience here, I really think it would be very difficult for you to apply through a off-campus route, because there are set processes, simply nothing.
Okay. Yeah.
Uh,
Um,
Actually, adding on to Tushar Bhaiya's point that there are set processes. So the outcome for you guys from this particular statement should be what are the places where there are not going to be set processes. So those are going to be places where sudden demand is going to keep coming up, which are going to be extremely dynamic places, aka startups. So keep applying at startups off campus. Those are usually the easiest ones to convert because they're also looking to hire very quickly. Because due to the nature of the way a startup is operating, their demand comes up very suddenly and they have to fill it very quickly because an entire project might get stalled because bandwidth could not be made available. So keep your eyes open, stay sharp, have the resumes ready, follow the relevant folks on LinkedIn, beef up your LinkedIn profile. So all of those parameters that are there on LinkedIn, fill them well, because a lot of times you will get noticed. Uh, it has happened to many people I know. So keep your eyes open and think how. So one folk, I remember this guy because he reached out to me over email, and he had read an article recently about a new venture that Groww was launching. We were getting into, and he proactively emailed us saying ki, I want to apply in this with this role. These are my qualifications, and he was very crisp. So even though I was not the right person, because it was so clear to me what he wanted, I forwarded to the relevant person, and he managed to convert it. So being very crisp, keeping your eyes open, tailoring every piece of email with genuine intent, as Saurabh Bhaiya was also mentioning, that is going to be the most important piece.
okay. Yeah, like I got that we should first, like this is what I got from all this conversation, that we should first focus on what we will be able to provide, be crisp about what is our intent to work in the firm, and then start mailing instead of mass cold mailing. It might work sometime, but it is better to focus on a shot and keep mailing it repeatedly, if I suppose, and try getting a conversion over there, as there are a few lesser options from campus available. So one more question I had, that some of our audience we look over here have invested quite a lot amount of time in tech roles. Like they have given their whole 3 to 4 months of the semester preparing DSA, ML things, but now they are not enjoying it. Like they aren't keen looking forward to this, or they have. Am I audible, right? Yeah. Okay. So they aren't having so much interest in this. So can they change their track so early, or have they been left behind? What are the suggestions to them?
This also essentially covers the people who have interned. I'd say जो थर्ड ईयर से फोर्थ ईयर में जा रहे हैं, who have interned somewhere in a tech role and maybe they are looking for a switch. So that kind of people.
Yeah, I think for them, or rather for anyone, having the core principles sorted, which is initially spoke about, right? Having problem solving skills, keen to do that, first principle thinking, etc. Right? Now that is also required. I'm assuming in tech too, right? To make some dent out there. So if you already have those, right? Now the only thing which matters is practice. So I don't think it's ever late, essentially, to make switch anywhere, right? It's absolutely, so your intent has to be sorted, and you should have the will to practice wherever you're trying to move towards, right? So I think with this too, you can actually make the switch. I don't think that would be uh, difficult, and also it would make an interesting story in your interviews, right? That why do you want to actually switch from tech to this? It would actually genuinely show, if you genuinely have a story to tell that I really want to switch from tech to this, then I think that would be a great idea to do.
Oh, to your question, Pranjal, on third years moving to fourth year, I think one thing that helps, and Saurabh was telling that, is you already have had an experience of 2 months on what tech looks like, very briefly. So when, of course, you will sit in your interviews, they will ask, and it's a both way street that you can take. If you're sitting in tech roles, you can say, oh, I have already done this, I like this and that. If you're sitting in non-tech, you can choose the other way around. Be smart about it. There's nothing wrong, of course, because in an experience of 2 months, you would have seen both sides and you would have felt both ways, some good things, some bad things, and that's totally okay. But the point to take care of in an interview when you're moving to some particular industry or role is that there will not be a black and white um, uh, you know requirement. So it will not be that I'm sure Saurabh can add that profile at Meesho, early profile at Meesho would not have anything close to tag. I'm sure it would be much more than what you will need in consulting. Similarly, in fact, in consulting also, we serve a lot of technology clients. We serve a lot of folks, while problem solving and client management remains the main suite of tools. But uh, we do focus on getting people in who are equipped with such tech. So rather than just using it as a complete flip into the non-tech roles, the advice would be, why don't you choose the right set of things that you can still use from your tech experience, and then complement it
Okay.
with your other problem solving tools. Because see, the non-tech roles, the beauty is that they don't demand a specific sort of expertise or tool like the tech roles. um, they do look for these terms like problem solving and leadership and all of that. While that is so open ended, it always helps to focus your skill set on certain things that you have developed over the years, and use your tech role experience also as part of whatever the suitable parts to complement into the non-tech roles, rather than just going totally opposite.
Yeah, like even in our college as well, like there is a one type of role named business analytic role. Like Ritvik, where you even have been a part of such type of roles we saw into your profile. Like, what is this role? Can you like if any one of you is aware that what is this role about, and should he switch on to this type of roles first, or any take on this?
Firstly, I was not a business analyst. It was a business associate role. So a lot of you folks would be familiar with Flipkart's graduate trainee program. So this was a very similar program to that. So where they'll essentially hire a fresher, put him across, expose him to multiple places, make him a generalist sort of person, and then encourage him to specialize in one domain. So he can be a valuable part of the team with broad based knowledge. What you are mentioning, business analyst, that is essentially an analyst role. So some companies will call it a data analyst, some companies will call it a business analyst, others might just call it an analyst. In MBB firms, analyst is the level below an associate, if I'm not wrong. So it can mean different things, but in the business focused roles, a business analyst or any analyst in general will mean that this person is responsible for deriving insights out of data. So usually SQL is the main skill you'll need along with some advanced Excel, and Python is also a very good tool to have because a lot of scripts will require using Python along with an SQL code that then converts and pulls the relevant pieces from an unstructured or to structured data set. So, but that is, if you're looking at a non-technical context that we four are discussing, that is not, I think, the role that we would be saying to switch into. It is a good role with a good blend of uh, technical knowledge in terms of SQL coding and deriving some level of business insights, but it's still a mainly coding focused role because you will be typing out code on your laptop for the entire day.
Yeah, very rightly said, Ritvik. So, yeah, I guess the audience understood what these kind of roles particular target. So now, moving next, there's this general saying in college that if anyone has to go to MBA side as well, so it's always better to have a work experience first, and then you actually switch to then you actually switch and go to MBA schools. So this question is for firstly the early graduates like Advaith and Ritvik. You are in this phase when you have graduated like 2 years back, 2 to 3 years back, and now you are in this phase. So, do you think is it required, or you feel like doing an MBA, or are you happy in your space? Any comments on it? And then maybe move to Sourabh and Tushar about because they have done MBA. So that kind of discussion.
So I think it would be better to defer this to the MBA folks first so they can tell the benefits of it. Because
Yeah,
frankly, me and Advait at this point also will be in two or three minds about what to do with an MBA. So we would also appreciate the clarity, I guess.
sure.
I agree.
Yeah, yeah. Tushar and Sourabh, yeah. Any one of you can volunteer and stuff.
Wait, Saurabh, do you want to take this popular question?
I was, I was about to tell that to Tushar. Yeah, and the reason behind this to and fro, yeah, MBA personally is not a technical kind of a course, right? It doesn't teaches you any hard skills again, right? What it does is comprehensively enables you to pick up multiple things, right? So if you ask me, right, the role which I'm doing today, would I have been able to do it without an MBA? Maybe yes, right? But how did MBA help me? It basically enabled or rather increased my horizon of thinking, like, right? So within MBA, I was also studying about marketing. I was studying about HR, which incidentally becomes very, very important when you become, when you go at a leadership position, right? And earlier you will not actually think about it, right? So there are various aspects, right? Marketing, analytics, HR, etc., right? You will actually will be bombarded with multiple functions coming together and making it work, right? So I think MBA generally helps on that, right? It formally or rather more structurally actually exposes you to this different aspects so that you can get some initial coverage, right? And as you were saying, right, it would require some kind of, or rather, it's always better to have some work ex before going there because I would agree to that. And the reason behind that is it actually makes it real, right? It makes it real, whatever is being taught out there, because again, there are no technical skills which are being taught to you, right? So I think, yes. So in that sense, if you really want to get expose yourself in a very short time, because see, to get exposed to all of this function in a real life scenario would take time. Why? Because you would grow. You can't actually like keep on working on different segments, right? And hence that actually gives you a bit of fast track exposure to different functions and different parts of a corporate journey, right? And then you can actually take a decision like where to go, what to do, right? It makes that part easier. So yeah, that would be my take on this. I hope it was clear and not jargons comes from MBA. Yeah.
Mm.
So I'll try to give you a very practical answer on how I also decided and what I think. Um, so see, as Saurabh was saying, could he have done this current role without MBA? Yes. If many of you don't know, can I do this role without MBA? Yes, I could have. There is a clear path from undergrad to MBBs, and then the same person also comes to where I am today or even beyond. And there are many people we have in our firm who are not MBAs. They are associates. One of my who's also from IIT Guwahati, he did that, and he's currently a principal about to be a partner at BCG. So I mean, the point is, if you are clear about certain role, which very few people are out of undergraduation, look into the company, look into that profile. You have today, though, you have every means, like you have LinkedIn, you have people to talk to, you can just message, you can just ask some of us to activate. But if you are clear about a certain role or a certain you know group of companies, even do your research, look into it, talk to the people inside it, understand how difficult is the trajectory for a non MBA versus an MBA. And if you are very clear that mujhe agle for next 3 to 5 years I want to do this, then just don't do MBA and get into it. The MBA is for me practically helpful for folks who either did not have an work experience, or had a work experience, but they are now not able to figure out, or they are not feeling that great in their current journey because they've looked at their journey. So, for example, Advaith and Ritvik here, they're out of the undergrad, a few years. If they're enjoying it, great. They should continue there or maybe adjacent companies. If they are seeing that, okay, I don't see a 5 year long journey right now, then again, for them also, talk to the MBA folks who have done MBA like us or the others. Look first what is beyond that. That 2 year of pathway and the tunnel and the journey is sort of what Saurabh already explained. That will teach you something, few parts only practical, give you a, and I'll come to what MBA gives you also. It's not that we have spent a hefty amount of money for nothing. So I'll come to that. Uh, but my whole point is, it is not an answer for everyone. It is at every stage of your life, either out of undergrad, either at Ritvik's place, Advaith's place, or even if I would have done come here without MBA. At every place, you have to question that what is it that MBA is giving me, and is that something that I can't achieve from my current position? Okay, number one. Number two, what MBA practically does is definitely gives you that brand that is being valued throughout your career. This is the answer that I used to get when I had decided whether to do MBA or not. That while you would be able to go through a set of firms and set of roles, when you try to make it to the next level, which is the CXOs, the directors, or beyond, there they might want to prefer a person who has done MBA. I don't know why. I still don't know why. I don't think after a 10-year long career into great roles, you why would you prefer? But I think there is some sense into how MBA brings a lot of network. So I will come to that now. See, what MBA does is give you that brand, gives you that platform to actually, what Saurabh was saying, to actually tap into and access into a lot of different roles. So, for example, if Ritvik doesn't want to stay in the current growth role, um, he should look into what MBA gives him, other roles, and what are those, maybe finance roles, consulting roles, uh, product maybe is adjacent to him already. There could be marketing roles. So those are the things that MBA gives you as well. Third thing is what MBA gives you is a huge network, and I think that's why they keep on preferring CXOs and senior level folks at that level, because it's not that they have learned something in MBA 10 years back which will enable them to do their CEO things. No, not at all. But a lot of senior folks with strong network brings in a lot of things that is, that you guys will also understand only when you come to that. So again, recapping, a summary of answer is MBA decision is your personal journey. There is no single answer. At each stage of your life, it can have a different answer. When you are coming out to that question, answer yourself these things: that can I go into this role? What role I want, and can I go into this role without paying paying for MBA, because MBA comes at a cost, not only the cost of MBA but also the forgotten cost for of those 2 years. Okay. Now, second question, Pranjal, you said work X or not. I personally have believed, looking into my MBA, that if you are anyway going to do MBA in India, don't wait for more than couple or 3 years maybe. And if you even want to go straight away, go. It's a simple mathematical answer, and don't want to go into details right now. Happy to take that anywhere offline. But in short, it is basically the amount of lakhs that you will be earning just while getting into the MBA. When you compare it outside your MBA, you will not feel that jump if you are in of course, a great role. I'm assuming before it already, right? So waiting for a so long period is not helpful. Also, in the MBA, within the MBA, we have seen a sweet spot is that 1 to 3 year work experience. Folks used to get a multitude of options and shortlists. That's very, very really sharing. While we did see some of the folks who had more than 4 years, 5 years struggling, uh, just simply because they are, like, of course, in a different phase of their journey. They have a lot of experience that the firm is not even looking for. They are looking for a folk who is okay with a 2 year experience, right? I'm also okay with you guys joining as a fresher. I believe there are some challenges that you do face. As Saurabh mentioned, some of the things you might not be able to follow, but more importantly, practically, some firms, you yourself will not be able to fill your resume when you go in, because simply you don't have a job section, and that might not be relevant. But for some firms, and I'm telling you, for MBB, it doesn't matter. Again, if you have that excellence, that spike, if you show that clarity in problem solving, they would actually love to have you than a 3 year experience guy.
So,
And I can throw facts again, simply because we feel that you would come with a lot of energy. It's not that the other person don't, but we feel as a first job, this person with this much of problem solving and clarity, I think we can shape him into into better thinker. So again, the answer is work
yeah,
expert. You should just think of, question it at every stage, that whether this is the thing that can take me to next level.
thank you, Tushar. Yeah, like it was very insightful. Like now we got to know that how can a person switch into MBA or should take or not take MBA. Now, like talking about preparation side, so like Advaith, you recently passed out from college, right? So can you help our audience get some more gist about, is there a different prep for consulting, product, or any analyst role, or they all have a same path in the preparation side?
Okay, I think the common part is mostly case interviews. I'll explain that in detail, but I think I'll start from the first part, right? So I think again it's important that you have a good resume, and always you have micro groups to practice. And practice makes things perfect. That's something that's common for, I think, consulting and product both. Because I was sitting for both roles at the time. Uh, I think it's better to start early. It does help you because you would have a lot of time then towards your interviews. So better to start early. I started around June, July. So right around, I was already doing an intern at the time. So that's one thing. Then coming to what all should you practice? For consulting and product, guesstimates is something that's very common. Anyone who is attending session, I think, should be fairly, aware of the term. It's basically making an educated guess from, by breaking down the problem and finding an estimate for something. So guesstimates is something that's very common. Second is case interviews. There are things that are common across consulting and product. You could start with frameworks, and as you practice, you could uh, get into something that is more generic and that is very relevant to the case. But yeah, I think practice is something that is very important. Uh, Apart from that, if you're particularly uh, getting to product, right, you would have these online assessments which do contain some aptitude questions. Now then it becomes a matter of who solves it faster, because that's how the shortlisting is going to be in that phase. So do practice aptitude questions for that part. And yeah, I mean, I think just keep practicing towards your interviews. And also, something I did do is, like, practice with people outside your college, because something that is widely followed in your college may not be followed in somewhere else. Find people off LinkedIn, or there are a lot of case practice groups there. It's a good place to get started. And like, maybe towards the end of your practice bit, that's like, like couple of days before your interviews, maybe try to have a mock with your immediate senior. Maybe, I'm sure, like, there will be
Okay.
people who can help you. So yeah, that's.
Yeah, even in KTC as well, like we have set up the same vision. Like we are planning to form small case groups for the seniors as well, and we'll be doing all these things, like helping them give practice mock tests. Yeah, Sanjay.
Yeah, so now it's the time when we actually present the resource, that exclusive resource that we were speaking about. So, yeah, this is the time we'll be revealing to you all that we at CNA are absolutely thrilled to unveil this year's flagship Tontech resource, Crack the Case, the Business Guide. So, this is a comprehensive resource that covers everything from consulting and product management to SQL and interview preparation, making it a true one-stop resource for the students preparing for non-tech careers across domains. It's designed to complement our upcoming business casework, and together they aim to create a complete resource preparation ecosystem for aspiring candidates in consulting, product, and strategy roles. This guide has been built on the foundation so incredibly laid by you all as our alumni, and we appreciate all of your efforts, and is the result of months and dedicated work of collaboration by the current CNA team. We are truly honored to have you all here with us for this surprise reveal.
Yeah, it was really built upon what you guys started in your years. And I'll just help all the audience get through the index. So first up, we have the consulting section where we have the subtopics like consulting basics. Like it has content starting from how to get onto your first principle thinking, how to think, what are some of the tools that you can use with till the case frameworks, that when to use what type of case frameworks. It is all the theory that you need to know about consulting, which had already been, like, it is just add on what had been created by our seniors. We have added and just defined the content of consulting. Next up in the section 2, yeah, we have SQL. We quite have seen that product roles ask SQL to a lot of extent. So we decided to have a hands-on cheat sheet type of experience. And what are the main things? A product perspective to SQL. that what you need to do, a resource in itself, a resource and the resource, like we have said, from where you can learn, what are the key important topics, what are the questions asked. Then third up we have is building the product resource. It has been brought up from the scratch, like what are product management roles, what all roles can you choose. We have covered all the frameworks that a product person needs to know, what are user research methods, and even we got to know that product is not only just thinking about the product, like we even get to need to have the tech knowledge of it. We aren't just supposed to code it, but we should be quite aware that about machine learning, AI, ML, all the tech parts that are happening. So for that, we have an extensive section, Tech Simplified for PM, where we have given all the all the content, what a product person should know according best our knowledge. Next up, we even have done some of the like small cases on how big companies run, like Bumble and many more. So we have given how a product, actually a tech product, is working. Next up is having a fair bit knowledge how all these things are working, like in consulting a skill product. Now building and showing up your profiles to the interviewers. So how can one get shortlisted? How should one make CVs, cover letters? And the key action words or something that each and everyone should know or have some bit of idea while preparing the series. And next up, at last, we collected ourselves interview experiences from our own seniors, that the companies that came to our campus last year, we asked how were the rounds, what all they conducted, like how was the asking, how difficulty level of online assessment it was, what was the interview more focused on, to have the fourth years current gist that what they can expect. It might not be generalized for most of the people, but we have it for we have some of the experiences collectively collaborated by all the CNA team. Yeah. And at last, we have our recommended books that everyone should know.
So a resource like this was thought of in a place that a lot of people start preparing in this, like these particular months, because they have a summer break this time. So a resource like this can help a lot of people develop their understanding, theoretical understanding to topics of consulting, product, SQL, and how do they actually ace interviews. So now a question to all of you, like you having gone through the resource yourselves, what do you feel a resource like this can contribute in a candidate's preparation? And if there are any other ways, if there are any other suggestions that you guys want to essentially tell the audience about this.
For the placements as well as interns, like any key suggestions that you can give.
Yeah, I think kudos on creating this, guys. But the breadth of things which is covered here, I think becomes a one-stop solution to many of the non-tech roles which you have been talking about. And though I've not gone through deep, I'm assuming like it would be of great quality. But again, I think it would have been really helpful. Let's say when I was in third year or fourth year, to have this. I had some part of the resource, and the major problem was it was all segregated, right? Like there was some part of something which was available, some part somewhere else, and hence this is something which is excellently. I think it will help excellently. One more thing, but a suggestion, just I think you guys should also, maybe in the future variant, should also add up Gen AI or rather the way it is disrupting. I think that's really is going to change multiple things. I think maybe we could add that. I think apart from that, it's great. Kudos, guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
definitely.
yeah.
So great work creating the guide. I had the pleasure of going through it earlier. Uh, Adding on to just Saurabh Bhaiya's point about AI, it is going to be extremely crucial. I'm seeing it in real time how it is transforming workflows. So, working knowledge of how you use AI, and there are two ways. One is getting something out of it in a conversation, and the second piece that you should probably try to cover is how can you repeatedly and accurately get an AI to do a task for you, because these are the two places that are disrupting the most, and these are very different approaches also. So in a conversational manner, it is a very different way you prompt it, and in a system deployment, it's an entirely different way you utilize it. So read up on that and cover that also going forward. Apart from that, the resources I feel very good, covers a huge breadth and considerable depth also. Kudos on this.
Thank you so much, Maya, and Tushar and Advaith, if you have any further comments there.
Oh, awesome. I think living up um, to the expectations from Consulting and Analytics Club. I feel when I started this, I did envisage something on these lines, but definitely did not have the time that year, as well as the ability, being very honest, to do such a comprehensive work, because we were just starting. But I think this definitely adds up to many achievements that you guys as a club are achieving, and it's very helpful not only for third, fourth years. I believe for a first, second year. That is the only take that I will do, and I did see some comments coming on from initial yearites. I think first of all, this is a great resource for you guys to read up, to see what it entails, and then decide. But yeah, great work, and Gen AI is the uh, new everything. So yeah, please follow up on that.
Yeah. Advait Bhaiya. Yeah.
Nothing much, but like kudos on this guide. I think it gets better and better every year. I think since the last 5 years. So there's something new every year that you guys add, and you guys also have a casebook that's coming up. So congrats in advance. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Bhaiya. This is, yeah, we even created this guide. We have ourselves taken in fact the consideration of AI things. We ourselves tried adding as much as content we could. And like, this were the common questions that we had collected from the audience, like from the docs. Now, if possible, can we take questions from the chat as well?
Yep.
Yeah, like the meet
Uh,
is now open for
yeah,
audience to answer the questions. So we'll see YouTube until then, like
we'll
we
ask the
can
questions. We have our, yeah. Purvi, you can just stop the screen share. Yeah. Uh, so starting out with question, Nimesh asked that could you comment on involvement and importance of understanding problem solving and life cycle of AI that an EX expert from an executive aspects to fresher aspect.
I guess he was not audible that clearly, is it?
Your voice
Okay,
was
okay.
breaking. Can you
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Like I'll repeat it. Nimesh asked, could you comment on involvement and importance of understanding problem solving and life cycle of AI that an executive expects from fresher?
Yeah, I think I'll just take this and maybe then different uh, functional aspect can be brought in. Uh, from a fresher, essentially, yeah, what we expect essentially is that, yeah, see, when you're getting into a company, right? So you have to understand like the team there is already doing certain kind of work, right? And the thing which somebody would expect from a fresher is essentially to bring in the fresh perspective, which would enable this team to like maybe improve efficiency, innovate, etc., etc., etc. Right? Again, what they're looking for is energy, their problem solving skills, because they are coming completely fresh, right? They have fresh perspective. They know they have a they could be new ways of thinking they could brought from themselves, right? Now with AI coming in picture, right, the expectation from freshers increases. The reason behind that is, right, now there is a sort of guide or a mentor to you for all the nuances which you would might not expect earlier from a fresher, right? Maybe knowing something, knowing a business strategy, knowing like how do you crack this problem, knowing what let's say XYZ company had done in a similar kind of situation, right? Researching those or getting knowledge around the functional aspect becomes easier with Gen AI. And I think that is something which increases the expectation from fresher in terms of their contribution in the initial part of their journey. So yeah, that be. I would request other panelists to basically add up functional expertise or anything else.
Nothing from my side. I think we can keep on taking more questions.
Okay. Yeah. So next up, a question was Pranav Goenka asked that I am from tier 3 college and preparing for non-tech roles. I can't depend on my college placement cell for opportunities. Please suggest how can I get more opportunities? I guess yeah, but if you could address someone's anyone.
I would take that. I hear you, Pranav, and I've seen this live with some of my, say, family relatives, some of the other friends of friends, and this is a very pressing question. There are, of course, thousands of colleges in our country, and the placement scenario would not be green everywhere. I think what two three things you can do is, first of all, skill yourself, and again we discussed throughout this session on um, within non-tech consulting role, product roles, some bit of business analyst and all was also touched upon. So there are a host of roles that you can research on. There is a vast online network there. So do skill yourself in the two or three roles that you want to get into. That is number one. With that, you of course now start looking, and as some of us had shared that there are companies where there is no set processes. There are startups. There is a lot of whole world out there. A few practical things that you can do is keep your LinkedIn really updated. Um, do do keep looking at which are these companies, follow them, follow their people, and then once you are in that phase of where you want to go to the intern or placement, then start reaching out to these people. One more important that many people don't do, some of the companies actually on their careers page do post job openings, and they are open to receiving some of the emails. So again, these are some traditional things only, but if your college is not something that you want to bank upon, a, skill yourself, b, be very vigilant right from the beginning. Maybe start from second year and understand what the kind of roles, but maybe act when you are ready to go for an intern or a placement. And one more thing, very important, do use networks like even this networks, where you might have your family or someone in your friends of friends who is in some other company or college. I think that is one more useful way to get into firms. Yep.
Yeah, I think this was pretty well covered by both the
Yeah.
way. You
Okay.
can move to the next question.
So yeah, one more common question that we got in the audience is that in the coming years, what will be the other non-negotiable skills that are like kind of must have? Like how has the industry evolved, and now by this time, are there any non-negotiable skills that one can have?
I think the only non-negotiable skill is you are able to look at things from an original and structured perspective, essentially problem solving from first principles. That is the only non-negotiable skill that you will always need to have in this non-tech roles. Because as long as you can look at a problem, break it down without freaking out, without getting overwhelmed, you are always going to be a valuable asset. You can figure out how to solve it, you can take help. But if you do not understand the problem in its components, you will never be able to solve it. So that is the most non-negotiable skill that will always be there.
Sure, sir. Like very nicely taken. Like when we are seeing the questions of audience, like all of them are in a similar kind that they are from a certain college and they want to track non-campus placements. I guess we have answered it in a generalized way as well. So like there is no new type of question, I guess. Panel, your take?
Yeah, I guess I have also scanned all the questions. Any feedback that you want us as juniors to know, that anything that you want to say apart from all these
Hmm.
questions? Anyone, Advait Bhaiya, Tushar Bhaiya, Ritvik Bhaiya, Sourabh Bhaiya.
I think the most important thing is keep trying. You will keep facing ups and downs. You are doing very good. Uh, Keep going at it and keep asking yourselves why you are doing something. I think that is the most important thing you should keep doing. Self evaluate karte raho. I think everybody who is not, getting bored in life later on kept asking themselves earlier ki why am I doing what I'm doing. So always know why you are doing something, and be patient.
I think from my side, a couple of things reflecting upon my early career. Um, we discussed a lot of things about roles and skill sets and all of that. To be very, very honest, practically at your stage of the career, the most important thing is hard work. Uh, and as Ritvik said, perseverance. So just keep showing up. That's important. And I see a lot of comments. You said that worried about how do we get into jobs, interns, etc. Yes, that would be difficult, depending upon your college, markets, etc. But most important thing is skill yourself, do your hard work before getting into a job, and more important, when you get into a job, don't worry about what you know or don't know, because the companies very, very frankly don't expect a 20-year-old or a 22-year-old to know stuff. What they want is your energy, your commitment, hard work, and that shows up. That shows up in like 1 month. I can comment on whether this person is going to go big or not. So that's my ultimate suggestion. Keep your attitude such that people in your company want to have you in your team, not for your knowledge to start with, but for your commitment, hard work, and energy that you bring.
Yeah, I would second what Tushar just said. And yes, guys, matlab, this would be the first job, right? It's not end of whatever, right? It's just first job. I can understand like the sense of overwhelming and then everything like panic or everything sets up at the journey which you guys are today. But believe me, like 5 years down the line, 6 years down the line, this might not mean that much. And having right attitude, what Tushar was just saying, right? Having right attitude towards what you're trying to accomplish, I think that's what all matter, right? Not your first job, not your second job, but the way you grew from where you are today, right? So yeah, so best of luck on doing that.
I think just finally to put the cherry
Agreed.
on the top, I would say, I think if I'm pretty sure, no one at your age would, 100% sure you want to do this or that. But if you at least have, like a 10% surety, even like 1% surety that you want to do this, just keep trying at it and take action towards it, because inaction is the worst thing you can do. So just keep trying at what you want to achieve. Your choices might change when you get a job. I was probably 0% sure at the first I wanted to try into product. Now I'm 90% sure I want to stay in product. It might change, but again, it's important that you guys try and try to achieve what you want to do. And I think once you start working on a job, you'll meet a lot of great people who will support you, and and you will also grow in a couple of years into what you will eventually become. So yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you
thanks a
so
lot,
much, like,
Ritvik.
yeah, we are so overwhelmed, like all the panelists for like taking out your time, sharing such honest answers and such insightful insights and like the actionable advice. So overwhelmed with the entire session. Your journeys and experience have not only inspired us, but also given us much needed clarity for preparing for non-tech careers. And to the audience, like we hope this session helped you understand the different paths within consulting, product, strategy, growth, and how to navigate them with the right mindset and resources. So
And
like
even on
as
to that, many of you were asking about the guide. We would be releasing it soon in our official WhatsApp channel as well as all our social media platforms. So don't worry for that. We'll be sharing the post soon. Yeah. Thank you, all the
this
audience as well. Yeah.
This was the mark of our KTC Crack the Case Launchpad. This was the inaugural session, so gracefully graced by like you all, Kaya. We thank you for taking out your time on this Sunday evening and helping us actually guide how do we actually proceed with things. It was a pretty great time for us.
Great.
Yeah, I guess
Great.
the live session is off. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Bhaiya. Like हमें बहुत